Hello and welcome to Let's Play Hexen Beyond Heretic. My name is Ajire and I'll be your host for this adventure. Before we start, I'd like to issue a huge thanks to Nylim for letting me do a Let's Play for his channel. Hexen is a Doom engine, dark fantasy first-person shooter released back in 1995 by Raven Software, as a sequel to their 1994 dark fantasy first-person shooter Heretic, Shadow of the Serpent Riders. Unlike Doom and Heretic, Hexen featured a highly non-linear style of progression, where switches you pull and keys you pick up have effects and doors they open in other maps, and so you constantly have to backtrack and re-explore previous maps to find out what you have accomplished and how to proceed. It's easy to get lost the first several times you play this game. This style of play did not have a wide appeal at the time, which is why Hexen never reached quite the same popularity of Doom and Heretic, I believe. I will be playing this using the C-Doom emulator. This emulator adds the capability for vertical aiming and jumping to the Doom games, but this feature was actually implemented already in the Hexen version of the Doom engine at its release. Hexen was one of the first-person shooters to feature jumping and vertical aiming, and it was revolutionary concepts at the time. So, the only thing gained from using C-Doom are some nicer graphics and the convenience of mouse look. It won't otherwise add anything that wasn't in the original game. So, let's get into it. In Hexen, you can play as 3 different classes, each with 4 different weapons. A fighter, which is tough and favors melee combat. A mage, which is slow and physically fragile but have very strong ranged weapons. And a cleric, which is somewhere in between. We will be playing as the mage for this Let's Play, because that's my favorite class. And we will be playing at the Warlock difficulty. Welcome to the Winnowing Hall. This is a prologue map that will introduce you to some of the basic features of Hexen, so let's jump right on in. We meet our first enemies, which are the Ettins and the Afrits. Now, Ettins have very little health and only have a melee attack, so just dispose of them. Afrits are a little bit more dangerous because they can move very fast and have a quite damaging ranged attack. Now, some of the improvements that were done to the Doom engine for Hexen are, among other things, smashable containers that can reveal items such as this jar here. This is a crystal vial. It will heal you for 10 HP when you pick it up. Another feature that was added was smashable glass, and it looks really good for the time it was made. Now, one of the things I really like about Hexen is the atmosphere. The music and the sound effects just combines to make a very immersive experience. I mean, just listen to this door. Alright. We come into this room and we have some more enemies to deal with. Now this here is an item that you can pick up and carry with you and use at a later time. There are numerous of these items in Hexen. This particular item is a flechette. It is sort of a bomb type secondary weapon that varies slightly among the different classes. But this is a trap, so make sure you step back immediately when you've picked it up, as these heads will turn around and start shooting fireballs everywhere. Now this is another trap. As you grab this flechette, the doors will open to reveal 4 Ettins that will come charging at you, so dispose of those. Alright. We can't seem to get into this contraption in the center just yet, but maybe we will be able to at a later time. There are some items hidden behind these stained glass windows along with some enemies, so make sure you get them all. We've already smashed this. Now this is a quartz flask. You can use it to heal for 25 HP on demand. And you can select which item to use. Like this. Now over here there is a passage hidden behind this stained glass window, so move down here and dispose of the items. Grab the goodies, and this reveals a switch. Now I really like the detailing of this switch, how it is shaped as a bull head with a ring in its nose, and you can pull the ring and the eyes light up. Really gorgeous. Now activating the switch, open these doors so we can move up here and find some more items. There are several items in here, so be careful, but they should go down pretty easily. Alright, synchronized death. Smash this window for another quartz flask. Activate this switch to lower the central pillar in the room to reveal a key, the emerald key. Picking up that key causes these doors to start opening and closing again in a cyclic fashion, and they can crush you if you get caught in there, so be careful. Just hug the door and run as soon as it opens and you'll be fine. Now, with the emerald key, we can move... Oh, yeah. Enemies will respawn and teleport in at random at the higher difficulties, so make sure you don't get caught out. Now, with the emerald key, we can... Oh, more respawns. I usually don't get this many. With the emerald key, we can open this door. We have yet more items to dispose of. Alright. Activate this switch to open the door leading up to the ramparts. Now you can jump up here to pick up a platinum helmet, and as I told in the introduction, jumping was a feature of the original Hexen as well. So this is not something that's added by the Sea-Doom engine. Dispose of this final item to reveal a switch in the floor. Activate it to open the second door leading to the area. Now there are many enemies here, so be careful. Now the starting weapon of the mage is actually quite potent. It is the only hit scan weapon in the game, meaning that enemies can't dodge it and they can't reflect it, which is something that's going to be very important later on. And it also has a piercing attack, so if you can line up enemies you can really start dealing some serious damage. Now, the goal of this level is actually to ring the church bell up there by hitting it with an attack. The mage can just do it from down here, of course, but for classes that don't start with a ranged weapon, I'm gonna show you how to get up there. The door is here, but we can't open it because it needs a silver key, so let's see if we can find that. I don't think it's too hard to guess where it's at. Move into this cave behind here to find, oh, the silver key. Picking up the key activates this crusher trap, and yeah, like the other one, it will crush you if you get caught. So, hug each element and just move straight through. No big deal. Open the door with the silver key and watch out for the Hexen inside. Smash this jar for another quartz flask. And head up the tower. And ring the bell. Now, it's not entirely clear what ringing the bell has accomplished, so it's time for one of these moments in Hexen where we'll have to backtrack and see if something has changed. The sure thing that has changed is that some enemies have respawned, so dispose of those. Careful to dodge the enemy's attack, and I apparently suck at it. Alright. Now if we move back to this chamber... Oh, look at that! The cage around this contraption has now vanished, so... This is actually a teleporter, so stepping into it will transport you to another area of the map, so let's do so. And alright, this here is the exit of the level. These portals in Hexen will generally lead to another map.
Greetings, mortal. Are you ready to die?
That was rather ominous. It seems like some nefarious entity has taken an interest in our meddling. But I think this will be a good place to stop this video, so see you in the next episode.